Well, a streak of 5 victories going without any win, 5 races now. That curse has finally been lifted as Lando Norris stormed to the finish line in the first place, marking his 6th triumph of the year at Mexico City Grand Prix with lights to flag performance from pole, ending 5 races without victory for him, reported as a significant return to form. That is what motorsports fans have said all around the world. With this result, he's also taken the lead in the Drivers' Championship, key points with the dominant qualifying control race as well. But Lando Norris certainly has proven to all his critics once again that 5 races without victory doesn't stop him from becoming world champion and staying in contention as well. I'm Ahmed Nawaz. You're watching The Scoreboard, coming to you live from our Islamabad studios of Pakistan TV. There's lots more to discuss. Let's take a look at our top stories. After that, we're talking about why teams are now afraid to face Arsenal and why they're the juggernaut team to beat now. A growing narrative that Arsenal are now the top team in the Premier League, dominating matches with their recent victory against Crystal Palace 1-0 remaining at the top of the table. They're now considered a team to beat as well. There's been a strong defensive organization. We've seen an improved attack variety, and we've seen mental strength in these games as well. They've grown beyond the flashes of potential. They're consistently improving since the last 2 seasons. And I think this might be the year that trophy cabinet drought probably comes to an end as well. Then we move on and we discuss Jannik Sinner, who was in severe pain and cramping all over the place, but still managing to claim the Vienna Open title, beating Alexander Zverev in the final 3-6, 6-3, 7-5. He was cramped up but didn't give way. That is the resilience that we talk about that Jannik Sinner possesses. And you remember a couple of days ago, we also talked about the fact that he's taken time off from the Davis Cup tie as well, and he wants to focus on Grand Slams as well. So now we realize why that decision, which was very skeptical, was taken, and where the form and the results are going as far as Jannik Sinner is concerned. Then from tennis, we talk about the super ride from Great Britain, which has won the gold in women's Madison as well. The British pair of Katie Archibald and Maddie Leach clinched gold in the women's Madison at the UCI Track Championships in Santiago, Chile. They were phenomenal. Their performance described as a super ride, commanding throughout, exploiting opportunities when rivals faltered, in particularly against the Netherlands. This puts GB's strength in track cycling disciplines beyond their expectations, and of course the result cements them as a major force in women's track cycling, especially in endurance sprint hybrid events like the Madison as well. Fantastic performance, I think, from Katie Archibald, especially, who has been under the scrutiny for a while now. Then we move on and we talk about cricket. Pakistan is all set to face South Africa in the first T20 International, where Pakistan is also making history as they'll be donning the pink jerseys, of course, supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is Pinktober as well. This is going to happen for the very, very first time. The team's practice sessions have also been continuing, but we're very, very excited to start off the T20 series. Then we move on and we tell you that the head coach of Pakistan's men's white ball team has defended his selection of Babar Azam and bringing him back into the T20 side. He explained that the decision was taken as Babar had been improving, and he also talked about the exclusion of Muhammad Wasim, where he said that he's still a fantastic player, but unfortunately he's not been performing well, and that's why Usman Khan has been given a performance check once again, because he plays spin very well. Then we talk about the Pakistan Cricket Board, where a major decision is now set to take place as women's head coach Muhammad Wasim is set to be removed from his position. His appointment has not yielded any fruitful results, but the appointment which was made questions us why was it made in the first place, and why this World Cup for Pakistan ended as probably the most embarrassing World Cup in women's cricket history. Then we move on and we take your focus to the Pakistan Super League, where the PSL management has taken a decision that only eligible franchises will be given contracts. Now, this decision comes under a lot of scrutiny as Multan Sultan's franchise and PSL management are already at loggerheads. So we're going to be talking about this in detail, of what would be the right way forward if we are to add 2 more teams to the PSL. How are we going to adjust them in the profit sharing as well? That is something that franchises are already skeptical about. Then we move on to volleyball and we give you the latest news from Pakistan's volleyball team as well. They have been performing well. Their semi-final showdown now is going to be against Indonesia. during the third Asian Youth Games in Bahrain. Their competition is underway at Isa Sports City. The Pakistan Youth Volleyball team had qualified for the semis after a strong performance. Indonesia is now their next target. The upcoming showdown is for a place in the final. A major opportunity for the Pakistan Youth team to qualify, and then they're going to be in line. I think they're very much favorites right now to take this crown as well. We're going to be discussing this and much more. Joining us on the scoreboard now is sports expert Ali Abbas. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the scoreboard, Ali.
Walaikum salam, Emma. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Ali, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to football as well. We're going to be going to that, but before that, let's just take a brief of F1. It's been a stellar season as well, but Lando Norris, I mean, 5 games without a victory. People had already started saying that grey days are now upon him. But Mexico City just proves to us why he's been so successful throughout the season with his 6th victory.
Sorry, Ahmed, are you referring that to me?
Yes, can you hear me, Ali Abbas?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I hear you now. Absolutely. I think I did not see him like overtaking Verstappen. And I do totally agree with you. Like in terms of the reputation, it did feel like his glory days probably were behind him because of the competition that he was facing with Charles Leclerc and Verstappen. But the fact that he was able to take the podium position shows that there's still enough fight left in him to compete at the best stage when it comes to F1.
Well, certainly. I'm glad you mentioned Max Verstappen because that theme song keeps on ringing in my ear and my head over and over again. But I think that's just been so much dominance. And even with, I think the limelight in the start of the season was Lewis Hamilton moving from Mercedes to Ferrari. But let's be honest, that's not been something that really has worked for Ferrari so far.
Absolutely, it hasn't. And we all expected that to be the biggest story, right, of this particular, I would say, season. Or Verstappen basically maybe overtaking or maybe cementing his place, which he probably has. But I would say that the picks that McLaren have made over the last 2 to 3 years, it seems like they're finally coming to the fold because, like, I think if you both spoke about F1 maybe 2 to 3 years ago, Norris and Piastri would not be the racers that we would be talking about in much high regard. And I guess that goes to show that exactly how F1 is diversifying in terms of the talent and the competition that it has, which probably a few years ago. I still remember that safety car incident, which resulted in that conflict between Hamilton and Verstappen. So it's good for the sport overall to see someone like Norris take the podium position. And yeah, excited to see what comes of this as we move into the coming races and eventually what the championship standings are by the end of the year.
Well, Abbas, I'm glad you mentioned Oscar Piastri. I think that has just been a remarkable form that I've seen in F1. And I mean, for a driver debuting like this, I think it sent shockwaves throughout the F1 community. Because like you said, and even us, we didn't expect someone of that caliber to come in with storm. And now looks like that he's going to be challenging every race.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that the Australians are not good at, Ahmed? That's probably what I'm going to say over here because hearing about it for the first time, I was like, an Australian, a very good racer. But by the end of the day, I mean, a fantastic country with great sportsmen and obviously now leading over here as well. And happy to see what's coming in McLaren. I mean, Oscar Piastri, a good young racer. And we did expect that maybe the next 5 to 7 years, especially once Hamilton sort of fades away into the wilderness with his legendary status, we expected that Verstappen would sort of take the lead and not really face much competition. But when you see the likes of Charles Leclerc or Norris or Piastri, taking on Verstappen, it's very exciting. And once again, like I said, it's good for F1 overall. And I hope, really excited to see what career trajectory Oscar Piastri does take in the future. And I hope he's able to carry on with what he has. Obviously, a 5th place finish is not something he would consider ideal. Maybe not even people who look up to him, like me, would consider ideal. But by the end of the day, there's a lot of talent over there and really something to be excited about if you're a McLaren F1 supporter.
Well, absolutely. Well, that now, of course, takes our focus to football as well. And I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to football. I mean, why is it that all of a sudden we're once again talking about this? We do it every season. I think the previous season was one such example where there should have been ending with a trophy in hand, but it didn't happen. Why certainly, I think suddenly all of a sudden now everybody's talking about Arsenal and why are they the juggernaut team? What has changed in this season so far?
So, Emma, nothing has changed this season. I think if you, ever since Mikel Arteta has taken over, first of all, a lot of credit goes over to Arsenal because Arteta did not have good first 3 years as the manager of Arsenal, but they still stuck with him. And a lot of credit goes to Edu as well, the sporting director of Arsenal, who basically got him the signings that he needed. So, like Mikel Arteta joined in December of 2019. The first thing that he did was he got rid of that toxic superstar culture where the likes of Aubameyang or Ozil, who weren't performing up to their best, still demanded a lot from the team, from the manager in terms of the respect that they should be given. And he changed that culture from you don't earn respect based on your name, you earn respect by how you play. So basically got rid of the superstars and then changed this Arsenal team from being a soft team and then turn them into this team that is really, really hard to play against, a team that is physical, a team that has a very good defensive shape, a team that has a very good offensive shape. And then after that, despite not being winning a Premier League or a Champions League for 2 to 3 years in a row, he stuck by that plan, worked on the set pieces. And I mean, Arne Slot said something last year when we drew against Arsenal. When I say we, I mean Liverpool. When we drew against Arsenal, he said that this is one team that can play 3 to 4 different styles within one half. That is exactly how well coached they are. And last year, I think if it wasn't for the injury crisis that they had, they might have won the title. This year, they have a lot more squad depth in terms of center backs. So yeah, it's a lot of money spent. It's a change in philosophy, and it's basically owners and sporting director that back the manager. So I think they're in pole position to win the title, especially because of the drop off Liverpool have had, with the new signings haven't really integrated as well as the manager would have liked. And Manchester City still sort of keep trying to get back to the old standard. A 6 point lead ahead of Manchester City, 7 points ahead of Liverpool. It's difficult to see any other team but Arsenal finally lifting the Premier League title after 21 years.
Well, let's look at that points margin as well because we're talking about that. And I think they're still pretty much in the run for contention. But every time it's been that season, Arsenal up there, along with Bournemouth, who are at second place with Spurs at third. Then we've got, going down Manchester City and Manchester United neck and neck, and then Liverpool. But even if we remember that season as well, Ali Abbas, I think a lot of that challenge came from Liverpool. And I think even in that season, I thought that it was Arsenal's season to lose, and that's what they ended up doing. The last week became very miserable for them, and they couldn't hang on to that points lead and take the trophy. This season, once again, it comes to the scheduling and everything in between. Why Manchester City has been such a successful Premier League side all of a sudden? Because I think they've managed schedules very well. They've had that bench strength, and I think, let's be very, very honest, the management has really put players and manage them smartly when it comes to that sheer workload of the Champions League, which is already this season by margin the largest ever league that we're talking about, with the number of matches almost going towards 200. So does Arsenal balance that scheduling? Do they have that managerial setup and, that cushion of players on the bench?
I was like, it hurts me to say that because being a Liverpool fan, I thought this was our season. But I think what Arsenal did last season in particular, they went all the way to the semi-finals of the Champions League, and they competed with Liverpool till probably the last 3 to 4 games left in the Premier League with a massive injury crisis. And once you go through that, right, you learn a lot. And the fact that they stuck with the manager over the last 2 to 3 years, the setbacks that they've faced in terms of injuries, in terms of form, ranking up to more than 95, 96 points, and then still losing to Manchester City, and then obviously losing to Liverpool last year, I think it's just made them much more stronger as a unit. And, when William Saliba signed the contract at the start of the season and extended it for another 3 to 4 years, despite the interest from Real Madrid, I could see that these players believe into what the manager is saying. And now give them, like, not give them, now that they have a 6 to 7 point lead off second place with just 8 games to go and a squad that is pretty fit, it's very hard to see them losing because of the failures and setbacks that they've gone through. You do feel them strengthening as a unit this season, even further if the lead sort of extends. And yeah, they would be deserving champions if they win this time because no one can say that they've done it the easy way. They've actually grinded it out. They've transitioned this football club to where it was in 2019, a soft team that was just getting bullied around by everyone, now to a team that pretty much does not take any BS. So I
Right,
would
Ali,
say that
stay with you.
I
Stay with us on the scoreboard, Ali. I'm going to come back to you with more, but now we're going to be talking about Pakistan's stellar performance at the third Asian Youth Games in Bahrain. They've just been phenomenal in Isa Sports City. They're now up into the semi-finals against Indonesia for a shot at the final. To discuss this in Pakistan's performance so far and what's up next and what's the challenge, we've now been joined on the scoreboard by the coach of the men's national volleyball team, Mr. Saeed Ahmed Khan, joins us. Saeed Saab, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the scoreboard.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, fantastic performance once again. These young boys continue to surprise all of us with their hard work, determination and skill. Now we're up against Indonesia in the semi-final, but before that, let's talk about the overall tournament so far. Sir, how impressed have you been with their performance?
Yes, when we are in the camp of training camp in Islamabad, I trained him very highly, especially in technical and side out and break points. So we faced the first group A and against Bahrain and Mongolia. We won easily from against them. And next group we played against Uzbekistan, very good team. We also win up this team, and again Saudi Arabia is a very good team, and we play. Now the statically and technically and tactically our guys are very good, and they have very courage to win the semi-finals 2 days against in the Indonesia. So the boys are very excited to see you to inshallah to give the very good news for the all whole nations.
Said sir, where is Indonesia's technical strength now? If we analyze them tactically, what should the Pakistan team be focusing on now once they're going against Indonesia? What is the style of play we might see from the Indonesian team?
As compare the height of Pakistan and Indonesia are much different. Pakistan have a good height, and Indonesia's players are not good height. But technically, I analyzed them very carefully, and last 2 days I am analyzing on him, and I judged that the skills of especially inside out is very good, and their setters also is very good, very cunning, and the distribution of the ball is very good. But as compared to Pakistan, our setters and especially my opposite diagonal, Mr. Yaya, and our middle blockers are also very good, and we tackle and their strengths, and inshallah we focus on all the weaknesses of the Indonesia. We have the strength, and inshallah we have plan about against him, and inshallah will you see very good result, inshallah.
Inshallah, sir, we are hoping for this title as well of the third Asian Games. But one thing is very important that I must ask you is, which is one area which you want our players to improve now? Is there any, I won't say weakness because I think that becomes a very strong word, but anything which you probably believe the young boys can improve on? Any one department which you have picked so far?
Yes, every meeting I am discussing about our weaknesses, especially in transitions. Defense formation is weak, and a lot of work on this specific department, and I am keen interested to develop these weaknesses. Now, inshallah, they overcome these weaknesses, and you will see, inshallah, in this final and semi-final, inshallah.
Sir, any message you'd like to give to the nation, because they are hoping for this title, and let's suppose, inshallah, we win this. How important will it be for this young Pakistan team?
Yes, being a coach of my young athletes, I giving some message to all my beloved nations to support him and cheer him, and that because they are our futures. And obviously, our federation and Pakistan sports ball are doing very well, and they're giving the good facilities. But as compared internationally, they are not more much. But we are keeping in their all views, and inshallah. And my message, being a coach, inshallah, nation will see and will receive a good news, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Saeed Saab, for joining us, and all the best for the semi-final and the final, inshallah. Right,
Thank
that was Saeed Ahmed Khan, the coach of the national team as well, that we're talking about. I think it's just been a phenomenal journey for these young boys. They've performed exceptionally well. Not this Asian Games. I think even before previous tournaments, they've been performing really well. That gives us a lot of optimism that the future transition of this team into the senior level is going to be something that we are looking forward to, because I think volleyball is a very popular sport in Pakistan. It's unfortunate that it doesn't get the mileage it deserves throughout media platforms, but I think once again we need to highlight from Pakistan TV and from the scoreboard that these young boys are extremely talented, and the future of Pakistan volleyball is in great hands. We are hoping for a victory against Indonesia tonight and a final, and then of course the title of being crowned the champions of the third Asian Youth Games as well in Bahrain in Isa City. Now we're going to go back to Ali Abbas, who joins us as well, and we might move on to tennis now, where Yannick Sinner once again has battled past cramps and he's still taken the crown after he beat Alexander Zverev, even after losing the first set. I think he was just phenomenal. But the fact still remains that this Vienna title really meant a lot to him. Ali Abbas, a lot of people probably criticized Sinner when he gave his decision that he doesn't want to participate in the Davis Cup, but he wants to focus more on Grand Slams. But what would you believe? I think with tennis, it is such an individual sport that obviously athletes would want to focus on individual glories.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the days of someone like a Djokovic or maybe even a Nadal fighting through injuries and playing all through the year is probably something that we won't see again. Probably the trend changed when Roger Federer decided to focus most of his energy in the later part of his career on Wimbledon instead of playing all of the Grand Slams or the different titles. So someone like Yannick Sinner who wants to develop a legacy, and make sure that he's in the top physical shape to keep on competing with Carlos Alcaraz probably shows that this decision is merited. But once again, I think it's a little unfortunate because these tournaments like the Davis Cup they're the grassroots of tennis, and they are the, like, I would say, like what they do for especially countries that aren't doing so well in this sport, that it really allows them to develop. So seeing someone like that pull out hurts. But then again, I think with the kind of sport, with the way sports science has progressed over the last few years, you might see this taking place a little bit more with more young talent deciding to focus on certain tournaments and not tournaments like the Davis Cup. Unfortunate, but not something that we can avoid in the near future or even right now.
Well, Ali, the diversity is very strange now. We have to talk about that diverse outlook. I'm glad you mentioned about the dominance of Nadal or Federer or Djokovic or even, Andy Murray to an extent. But it was very typical that, they weren't just winning one season. They were continuing their dominance of Grand Slams. Now with this younger lot, we are yet to see that consistency. They're either out injured or the slump in form comes in. So why is that there is a drastic change in the consistency of these players now?
Because of who they're competing against. Nadal had a Federer pushing him. Federer had a Nadal pushing him. And then a certain Djokovic decided to change his diet, completely change his routine, completely change his physical outlook, and took both of them on and went on to break every single record that those two legends had set. So I think, yeah, that's really important. I mean, the one person that they're probably all looking up to right now is Carlos Alcaraz in terms of where they want to be. And does Alcaraz have the same mentality as a Nadal or Federer or Djokovic? It remains to be seen. But by the end of the day, the kind of competition that we had maybe 10 to 12 years ago in tennis does not exist anymore. And that does have an impact on the players. Similarly, I know it's a cliche analogy I'm going to draw between football and tennis, but had there not been a Messi, Ronaldo would have not hit these heights. Had there not been a Ronaldo, Messi would not have hit these heights. So I think we had that rivalry in tennis between three legends. Will we have it with this current lot? I doubt it, but then again, it's just more respect that I'm trying to pay to the past legends, because that stuff doesn't happen after every 7 to 8 years. It does repeat itself after every 30 to 40 years, and we might just have to wait a little bit longer to see that happen again.
But does that mean you're a Carlos Alcaraz fan?
Actually, no, listen, Djokovic is still playing, isn't he? So I'm not saying that he's done. He might just come back and win another Grand Slam. But I mean, you got to respect the kind of tennis that Sinner or Alcaraz are playing. But by the end of the day, the footsteps that they need to walk in or the shoes that they need to fill can they fill them? And I mean, Alcaraz seems to be one person who can take it on, but going on to win 23, 24 Grand Slams is not something a lot of tennis players would be able to do moving forward because of the physical state that the players are in right now.
Well, I'm also disappointed. I don't see a lot of character now in terms of the humor element. I think the last one doing it is Djokovic, and on the other side, we've seen a lot of that from Nick Kyrgios. But then again, I miss, certain drama in tennis as well. But thank you very much, Ali Abbas, for joining us on the scoreboard.
Thank you for having me, Ahmed.
Right, that was Ali Abbas, and I think not a Carlos Alcaraz fan, but a dedicated Djokovic fan so far. I knew there was something Serb about him, but that is who Ali Abbas is. We now go towards a short break, but when we come back, we've got lots more on the scoreboard. Welcome back to the scoreboard. Now we are going to take your focus to cricket. Pakistan is all set to face South Africa in the first T20 international of the series from tomorrow. Pindi Cricket Stadium is already abuzz. The team's been training extensively, but the squad selection is something that has been the talk of the town. There's been a lot of defense put in by Mike Hesson, the coach, and he has defended Babar Azam's inclusion, Usman Khan's inclusion, and he's also given reasons for the inclusion, of the exclusion rather, of Muhammad Wasim. And then, of course, he's talked about the future of certain players in T20 cricket as well. To discuss this and much more, joining us in studios is sports expert and fellow anchor Sayyid Mohammad Wasim. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. We've heard that it's a sellout crowd already in Pindi, but Mike has been very vocal of some of the selections. I mean, the headline is Babar Azam. Him coming back to T20 is something that fans have probably waited more than Pakistan playing in Pakistan.
First of all, starting on, me and Ahmed are not the manager for tickets. Seriously, we don't have it. I swear, we don't have the tickets with us because the phone has been ringing a lot. And it's a good thing to watch on that you have got a full house tomorrow, packed up. Whomever I spoke to, and they said Babar is back in the T20. So I'm in high hopes from him. But when I was listening to Mike Hesson, I mean, some of the rightly pointed out points. But for me, one thing was, even might be shocking news for you, was exclusion of Fakhar Zaman. I mean, because he was one of the consistent performer in Asia Cup. I know in patches, but someone who basically performed with a good strike rate. But I don't know why was he dropped off on the Pakistan team.
But that reason's very strange. They're saying that he wants to focus on ODI cricket and we want him to improve his technique. That doesn't make sense.
That's the point I said, because I mean, when you talk about Fakhar Zaman, just not us, even the foreign commentators said one thing, that when he goes on, he just changes the whole momentum. And that's what we saw even in the Tri-Nation series, even saw in patches in the Asia Cup. I don't know why was he dropped off. Secondly, for me, shocking thing was that I know he's bowled well, Saim Ayub, but the main thing is his batting. I mean, he hasn't been consistently performing well. Regularly, he's got some chances for the Pakistan team. I mean, why was he not rested?
That's a bit tricky now. If he's still in the team and if he's still opening the innings and he doesn't perform,
the whole pressure comes.
No, but the question is, could that be the last opportunity for Saim Ayub?
I hope it should be. I mean, because see, if you just listen to Mike Hesson yesterday, I mean, not being a Haris fan, but he was quite on the point that he's averaging 17 in the domestic structure. Even in the international level, he's 17. He's not that mature to play international cricket right now. So that should be the stance even for everyone. I mean, if you're not performing well, you got many chances. That's it. This is the last chance. Go play a natural game and we'll see what happens over here, because you're preparing for the Asia Cup coming up. You rightly pointed, if the opening department does not perform well, you got number 3 Babar Azam coming up after a long period of time.
Absolutely. But you know, at this moment in time, Sayyid Mohammad Wasim, I would really like to shake your hand and congratulate you on the fact that Usman Khan is back into the side. I'm sure you're over the moon already. And the defense has been given by the head coach, who's saying that he plays spin really well. I don't know how many spinners South Africa are going to play in the first T20, but he's back in the side.
After 24 hours, you're going to be doing a show with me. I mean, I was shocked to see about Usman. Seriously, not against him, but if you just go through his track record in the domestic structure right now, he hasn't been that impressive. I mean, that shows that you have not got a backup wicketkeeper ready for coming up.
Let's just take a look at that squad. I know Awais is smiling, but I have got some news to share with Awais. But that squad over there, Salman Ali Agha, the skipper, Abdul Samad back in the side. I'm very, very happy for him. I think he deserves that opportunity. Abrar Ahmed still in there. Babar Azam gets a comeback. Fahim Ashraf, Hassan Nawaz, both there with Mohammad Nawaz. Wasim Jr. still in there. I hope he gets a game in the playing 11. Salman Mirza once again, prodigy from Lahore Qalandars. Naseem Shah back in the side. Saibzada Farhan, Saim Ayub. Then, of course, we move on to Shaheen Shah Afridi, Pakistan's ODI skipper. Usman Khan, the wicketkeeper. And Usman Tariq. Now, this is a major inclusion of Usman Tariq. He's performed tremendously well as well. So, let's discuss these 2-3 names. But before that, let me just give you an update on Usman Khan. He was working very, very hard at the National High Performance Centre under the watchful eye of Aqib Javed, the director of the High Performance Centre. Absolutely. So I think if he was working hard, he deserves a chance. He's gotten one right now.
Let's be frank. I mean, if me and you, we both work hard for our show. I mean, we do all the homework while coming up over here.
But under the watchful eye of Sabah Shafiq, our producer.
Under the watchful eye of Sabah Shafiq. I mean, we do a hard work over here. But when you come to a reality, because I was the one who raised more voice for Usman Khan that he deserves a chance for the Pakistan team. Fine, I hope he performs well now, because he has performed in the patches again, I'm telling you, in domestic structure. But the issue is that we need to understand one thing. Few of your players are brilliant at the league cricket or domestic structure. But when you talk about the international levels, they can't deliver. And
So
that's what happened
now
over
let's
here.
come to these two names now, because obviously Abdul Samad is into the side, but I think if you look at his outlook or the impact he's going to make, he was in direct contention with Irfan Khan Niazi probably. So who would have you picked out of both of them?
So, I mean, Abdul Samad, I know he's performed well for Pakistan, Shahid's in Australia too. When, I mean, even Faisal Akram was brilliant with the ball in that series. I mean, I guess Irfan Niazi was the captain over there, and Jason Gillespie, if you remember, he spoke about Irfan Niazi, high hopes, I mean, that he's one of the one to watch and any team can pick him up. He's a product what every team would want on. And even me, I was shocked to see for two names, Irfan Niazi and West Sufyan Mukim. One bad match and you don't pick him up. I mean, he's one of the guys who you brilliantly need him in the Sri Lanka World Cup, because a wrist spinner will be a strong candidate for you. These two names not being picked by Pakistan, that's the thing I'm telling you.
But they've gone with Usman Tariq on the other end as a spinner. And, can he
he's
add that
brilliant, I mean.
mystery?
He's good. I mean, see, I'm not saying that Usman, he's a brilliant spinner, because I know coming from the ban situation, I remember I spoke to one Usman Tariq, and he said the hurdles what he's faced, I mean, in his career, especially when he was reported for the action and he wanted a clearance certificate to play for one of the league teams. I mean, it was delayed. Even that hurt him, but still working hard, coming back over. He's one of the spinners who would definitely everyone would love to watch on. But Sufyan Mukim could have been a brilliant choice, because a wrist spinner, specifically left arm wrist spinner, when you're playing in T20s, can be a damaging figure against a right-hand batsman. So I was confused why he's not there. Irfan Niazi, like you mentioned, a good finisher, good with the ball too, with a bat, with a gun fielder. He would have deserved a chance over here. I don't know what's going on in the Pakistan.
But I think
team.
Mike Hesson in his press talk as well has more or less identified the playing 11 as well, particularly. Because if you are opening with Saibzada Farhan and Saim Ayub and Babar, he's already said is going to come at number 3, which I think is a fantastic decision. Rather than pushing him to open once again immediately after coming back. Usman's going to be at 4 and 5
because
Hassan.
he said that because he would be playing against spinners. He's good at spinners. I don't know when did he see.
So 5 is Hassan Nawaz or Salman Ali Agha, and 6 either. So that means no place for Abdul Samad in this playing 11.
See, that's the point I'm saying on, because it's like 1.5 months left for the T20 World Cup, or 2 months, I would say, and still we are just shuffling on the players. We don't know what position what players will be suited on. So that's the point I'm telling you, is that if this is your team in your mindset that is going to be representing Pakistan for the World Cup, stick with this. I mean, don't change it up. I mean, I know there will be pressure like we are speaking over here, but you need to stick with these plans if they're in your mindset. I mean, because changing whole scenario would definitely cost you in the T20 World Cup, because you're going to be playing in Sri Lanka. And look at the women's team over there. I know there was rain-affected areas, but spinners do dominate there. Your batsmen specifically, they need to grind themselves to play that spin bowling challenge over there. So it won't be easy for Pakistan middle order, specifically when Mike Hesson, I mean, talking about Usman Khan, I was a little bit shocked when he said that he's brilliant against spin. If you remember, he struggled against spin. He's brilliant against fast bowlers because he's mostly opened up for Multan Sultans in the opening or one down position. Even for the ILT20, he used to bat at number 1 down position. So he faced more new ball over there. So I was confused when he said he's good against spin bowling, because spin, Pakistan has got the habit of struggling, and I hope we don't see that, because Rawalpindi wicket is a little bit different. I mean, you would obviously get that pace, you would get that good bounce on the bat to come on, but when you travel to different areas, not the T20 I'm talking about, when you travel to for ODI series, I mean, in Faisalabad, I don't know what kind of wicket that would be, because in the last T20 match, I mean, last T20, because I was with the team for one match, it was a belter wicket where you had
but
some
still no talk about Abbas Afridi.
I mean, see, that's the point. There are so many players who have been dropped off. I mean, you just forget the names. I mean, because Pakistan in the recent year, we have shuffled so many players that you just forget the names of them. I mean, Abbas Afridi, I know he's heading the Super Sixers of Pakistan team, but he's a prospect who was brilliant with the T20. I mean, with the bat, with the ball. Remember, in few innings, he did chip in with Pakistan, but dropping him off, and in that situation, again, I'm telling you, when you're playing in Sri Lanka, where you need that slow ball.
But I think whichever player we're discussing, the focus is going to come back to Mike Hesson. And what he said about Babar Azam's inclusion and how he was able to define it, let's take a listen to that.
Great opportunity to get Babar back into the squad. He's likely to bat at 3, so it's a role that I'm very confident that he'll be able to do well. And it also gives our squad some options coming into the World Cup. Muhammad Harris has had a lot of opportunity in recent times, and I think he'd be the first to admit that he hasn't grabbed those opportunities. But he's still young, and he's still very much a developing player, so I certainly would never say his career is over. What I'd say is certainly has to work a lot around the decision making with the bat, And even domestically, you know, he averages 17 in domestic cricket with the bat in T20s. So that's an area, it's pretty much the same in international cricket. So that's somewhere where he needs to improve to come back and force his case back into the side.
Well, very vocal Mike Hesson, and I think he said more likely to bat at number 3 for Babar Azam. I have to talk about him. If I don't, fans are going to probably grill me at this moment. But I've seen him so confident in the test match. I don't know why I think it's going to be a different Babar Azam we see at number 3.
One thing you said that fans would obviously grill me to what I'm going to say, but if you just come to reality, one thing, I know he's a world-class batsman. I mean, everyone speaks about him. The little bit, I would say, the domestic or side matches has helped him in the test cricket. If you see that 40 or 50 runs what he scored, I mean, he had all that short selections what he wanted from Babar Azam, aggressive, good stroke, and that shows that he's.
But you said house full, but I think 99.9% that house full is because of Babar Azam in the T20.
I mean, I've asked anyone, why are you going? I mean, just because the ones who were calling, I said, wait, man, you have got many cricket matches coming, Rahul. But he said, no, I want to watch Babar, and especially the pink kit of Pakistan.
Yeah.
But one thing about Babar and specifically Mike Hesson, at least someone, we need to realize that at least someone spoke that. Because if you go through I would say, coaches of Pakistan, I would use a word that never dared to speak about Babar Azam, that you're struggling in this point and you need to fix that to be in the Pakistan team. Again, I'm telling you, star is bigger than Pakistan. I mean, the star on the chest, I mean, because if it's there, the Pakistan team is.
But, you know, I think this is all living up to the formula that if Babar performs well, he's definitely going to be part of Pakistan's World Cup squad. It's going to that point already. But that being said, we have to talk about women's cricket as well. I think there's been a major decision that is going to be taken there as well. Horrible World Cup, let's be very honest. I think it's the most embarrassing moment for women's cricket, not being able to win a single game in the Women's World Cup. And now we're seeing that the head coach is being sacked.
I mean, not a single match won, and even with the lowest strike rate and I would say lowest batting average. I mean, the way Pakistan in the bowling, they had been superb. Before traveling for the World Cup, we were discussing about Fatma Sana, what she brings into the Pakistan team. Every ex-cricketer, every other cricket, I mean, the other team captain or the captains, I mean, even the coach of the England team, I mean, spoke about Pakistan bowling. They didn't speak about the batting because they knew that there are some flaws in the batting order. We have been discussing, even Ahmed Bhai on the other platform, that Pakistan women's team now needs to realize one thing. They need to broaden the aspect. Why? Because they need to have, for example, Alia Riaz, she's one of the senior campaigners. What's her job role? She was included as a fast bowler in the Pakistan team. She gradually improved herself as a batsman. Bowling has been finished. Now she's just there to just bat in the middle order and in a crucial position. She needs to understand that number 3 or 4 position specifically is the position where you actually build up the innings. But the issue is that she does not have a second Alia Riaz standing in front of her who can be her match, that I'm their strong one to candidate
Even
to
the
perform.
first one, isn't it? I mean, you're going to the second one now.
I'm just saying that there's no alternate player for you. So request to the Pakistan Cricket Board, specifically Mohsin Naqvi Sahab, I mean, because we need to take this serious. I mean, other countries have been, it's one of the priorities for the women's cricket. I mean, they have got the league structure, the domestic structure, contracts are good.
Right.
We don't have this over here. We need to move this
Well,
up.
only time will tell how they're going to move forward and who is appointed in that position, because I think it is going to be key that we take that decision immediately, and even on the top management of women's cricket side as well. But now we, of course, give you a little brief about the PSL as well, where the management's been very vocal now that only franchises who meet criteria set are going to get contracts based on evaluation process as well, prioritizing eligible franchise renewals. I mean, Multan against PSL already is something that we've seen. 2 more sides to be added. I don't know where this is going.
I received some message yesterday that, oh, tu to part tha is team ka. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, should not have happened. I mean, because this could have been a table talk, and because it's one of the teams which has a great fan following. I mean, if you just go through the stats and all that, should not have happened. I mean, they need to have a proper table talk, but unfortunate, whatever the scenario is. But if you just go through the clauses of the new, the 10-year contract, I would say it's a good one, that at least you're focusing now on the strong points, that finishing the US dollars and converting into the Pakistani PK.
I think that's a good decision.
That's a very good decision.
That supports your local economy.
That supports your local economy, and even the franchise owners, I mean, they would little bit feel relaxed. Even the sponsors, I would say, they'll little bit feel relaxed.
The main reason because of that was with the fluctuation in dollar rate, it was impacting everything in the PSL.
And secondly, it used to, because obviously I have been a part of the team, I mean, secondly, it used to blackmail the franchises. You know why? Because the fluctuation, I mean, because there's a stop lock on one of the amounts, but definitely around across
Right.
the globe, I mean, players are getting more, so they
Absolutely.
blackmail that. So it's a good decision over here. But one thing to watch on would be Sialkot and Faisalabad coming up as a new team. I mean, so I hope.
I think more than that, it'll be fun to watch Multan versus PSL. I think that is
it's
something
good.
more that we're interested in. But thank you very much, Awais, for joining us. Multan Sultans and PSL management seems to be at loggerhead at the moment. It's all legal notice here and there, sort of like a ping-pong situation. But only time will tell how fruitful those results are going to be. All we hope for is the league to be even more successful than its previous editions. We leave it at that from me and our entire team until our next edition. From the scoreboard, it's goodbye for now.